Attention, please. This is your official civil defense broadcaster.
One of the greatest threats would be radioactive fallout.
Uranium fever.
Where fallout is heaviest, it can even kill those who have not taken proper shelter.
Broadcasting deep underground in a questionably constructed survivalist bunker is Dave CHAFINZ and Kenneth VIGUE, and your host, as always, Mr. Robots. This episode of the Fallout Hub is brought to you by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Open enrollment for advanced robotics courses starts now. Totally nothing sketchy going on. Nope, not at all.
And we're live. Well, there's a vault door open.
Wow. Effects.
Special effects.
For the first time, Tom was able to get the transmission out of the vault.
Hey, it worked. It worked. Hi, chat. How's it going?
Hello.
Good evening, everybody.
Everybody is excited for, if you're in America, your holiday weekend. That everybody is going to do something fun. Whether that's sit on the couch or maybe watch this podcast. That's something fun.
Who we got here? We got I Hate Pee-wee. Hello. We got Mustang. How are you? And Tech Blaze.
Tech Blaze.
And Games Made For You. What's up?
For me?
Yeah, this is our first live version of the Fallout Hub show. We talked and we're going to start doing some more live stream episodes, followed up with the audio version of the podcast. That'll get us a chance to talk to you guys, get feedback as we record, especially with guest interviews. That'll be kind of cool for you guys to say hello to everybody live as we interview people, and we can maybe grab some of your questions.
Oh, you haven't got that. Power of the internet, my friends. Power of the internet.
The magic of the internet.
Wow.
The magic of the internet.
Let's not do that again.
Internet.
How are you,
I
Tech?
can get three-piece harmony going on right there.
Three-piece harmony.
We're your new vocal ensemble.
This is the
Fallout
content that people
trio.
came for.
This is the content
Yes.
that people were waiting for.
Everybody. You've been
What
waiting
if we
for
were
this.
just a barbershop quartet? What if just like decided to be
We could
just,
have
like forget Fallout?
we could attempt that.
We should start a
That could be
barbershop
in the-
Fallout group.
She was just a girl in Kentucky. We should probably start the show.
Believe so. That's best.
All right, here, I'm just adjusting my camera. But okay, so you guys ready?
Ready?
Ready as always. All right, here we go. Welcome, Vault Dwellers and Wastelanders. This is the Fallout Hub, the official show of the Fallout TV show, and unofficial show of the Fallout TV show. And I am your host, Tom or Robots. And as always, with me, I have my co-host Ken and Dave, who are also co-hosts of the official Fallout TV show podcast of the Fallout Hub. I mentioned
Look at
that
Tom
before.
planting a flag right in that right away.
Yeah, he's
Boom.
Tom's putting the
This is
TM on everything.
Yeah, this is it. By
This
the
is
way,
the official
surprise,
show.
there's a Fallout TV show coming out. Ken, how's it going? Welcome
It's
back to the
going
show,
well.
buddy.
It's going well.
Good. And Dave,
things
how
are
are you?
going very well. I brought my little hat. Oh, there it
Happy
is.
birthday.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
No,
got it.
no. We're just very
Reclamation
excited.
Day.
Yeah. So, this is a very special live episode that we're doing live on the Chat Fallout 76 podcast Twitch feed. And I'm hosting it on the Robots Radio Twitch feed or Twitch, both. We're putting it. There's links everywhere, but it's on
A lot
Twitch.
of teas. A lot of teas here.
Lots of T's.
Twitch,
too
Twitter,
many
Twitter.
TWs. But I'm all excited about the Fallout TV show, and I think that guys, we need to jump right into that. No more footsie putting around. We're just getting right into it.
Did you just say footsie pudding? What?
No more tootsie tapping. We're just gonna get right to the meat of it.
We have no time for pudding. We have no time for footsie. Let's get straight to the news.
For words that make sense, because I am so excited for the Fallout TV show, which was just announced, like 3 hours ago, all over the Twitter sphere, all over the internet. The people who make TV shows like Westworld are doing Fallout. Holy crap, what do you guys think?
So before we get into it, I would have the official post, so that way we're all, if you don't know, up to date. So this is from their release that they put up on Bethesda. A Fallout original TV series is being produced by Kilter Films, the production company owned and operated by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, who are the creators of HBO's award-winning series Westworld. The series being licensed by Amazon Studios, who made original work for streaming service Amazon. Here's one quote from Jonathan Nolan on Fallout. Fallout is one of the greatest game series of all time. Each chapter of insanely imaginative story has cost us countless hours we could have spent with family and friends. Haha. So we are incredibly excited to partner with Todd Howard and the rest of brilliant lunatics at Bethesda to bring this massive, subversive, darkly funny verse life with Amazon Studios.
Hot dog.
Yeah, this wow.
Sweet
It
Jesus.
doesn't look like anything to me. That's a Westworld joke.
So have you guys watched Westworld? Do you know what we're getting into here?
I've never seen it. It's been on my to-do watch list. I just haven't got a chance to yet. But it looks awesome visually. I think I broke Dave.
Dude.
Sorry.
Dude.
Westworld is freaking great. Season 1 is probably one of the best seasons of TV shows ever. And I was watching it, and I remember thinking, this is what a video game show should be.
Yes.
And that was my exact thought at the end of the season. Season 2 continued on with that. Season 3 is pretty much like an evolution Blade Runner. It's fantastic as well. And it kind of... Western Game of Thrones really started to bring in this idea of these TV series and streaming services having big budget products that they're making with like full
right
animation, effects, casters, that kind of stuff. It cemented TV as something that's Oscar worthy, even though I don't think I think Oscars are just movies.
Well, yeah, you have kind of a budget where each TV show episode is almost like its own little movie. And one of the things that they do so well in World is, especially in the first season, is they put you in a different place in time, because you're in the theme park of Westworld, which is the Wild West. And during especially the early episodes, they don't explain exactly what's going on yet, so you haven't quite caught onto the premise. So as far as you know from a viewer, you're watching something happening in the Old West. And then, of course, it pulls out and there's the greater premise. But if they can do that the way they can in Westworld, then they can put us into a Fallout universe and do it in a way that really brings you in and makes it feel real.
So do you think, let's talk plot. Do you think they're going to do the plot of Fallout 3 or a version of Fallout 3 or
No.
Fallout New Vegas?
No.
No?
No.
I think that they're gonna. Go ahead.
Okay, so I pitched this actually on my show like a year ago when I was talking about the origins of the Brotherhood. And I think an amazing place start would be right before the bombs drop, from the perspective of Maxon. And you're in a regular world situation, and it's a great place to bring the community into the idea, because it's a significant place where the world divides from our own. And you're following a soldier, somebody who's been positioned at this location in order to make sure it's secure because they're researching things that are secret to the government. And you find out that there's this kind of Cold War that's been brewing with the US and China. And then throughout the first episode, Maxon slowly uncovers what's actually going on in the research facility with the FEV and the virus and the tests that they're doing on soldiers. And when he finally stands up against them is when he comes into contact with the super mutant and the bombs drop, and all of a sudden we're whisked away into the future and we're following the path of the Brotherhood and having to deal with an apocalypse that happens. I think that would be a really cool way to bring people in from like a real world start. The same way that something like The Hobbit works, and it creates an environment that people can be familiar with, like a agrarian culture with regular types of people. They're just little. And then all of a sudden you're in wizard elf land, right?
Yeah, like the beginning of Fallout 4 was magical in that you got a snapshot of what it was like pre-war, like that beautiful intro cinematic with Mr. Handy and the clean cars driving around, and then you got a chance to kind of explore a neighborhood before everything went to hell. But that was kind of awesome for the first time.
Yeah, they could do something like that too. My question with that though is that it already feels sci-fi. As soon as you're walking around a room and there's Mr. Handy floating around with everybody, that's already alien to us on some level. Not that Maxon and the people in the laboratory wouldn't have that kind of stuff going on, but they wouldn't have to. You could reveal those things later. Anyway, that's my perspective on it. I was wondering if you guys had any other thoughts though about ways that they could start this and what plot line they would follow.
I'm starting to think that they can't not start it with them being in the vault, because every experience begins with someone in a vault. So I think that they have to start with that. I think that that's a way easier way to set up your main character. So if you've got 3 characters that you're following, like if you set them up as like a bunker is very easy to understand. There's whole movies that take place in bunkers, and have it be in that environment. And by the end of the first episode, you're out doing stuff where you already have these bonds, and you're starting to see these characters as they begin and kind of set in that world. But then as into the actual where they are, which had to be cool. I don't think they're gonna do anything. I think they're not gonna do anything that we've seen in the Bethesda. They may go back to California like they have in original Fallout games, but I think that you can't not start it in the. That's just my perspective.
Yeah, well, I think that could be a good one too. The question I have then is, the other side of this is how serious and dark do they take it, or how comedic do they take it? Because Fallout does both. They balance both really well. You could have somebody starting in the vault and something terrible happens and they're ejected into the wasteland, and all of a sudden they're alone and they're trying to survive. And that story, that very personal story of an individual, and then trying to make it in the wasteland, running into people in the wasteland, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like the Nuka Break series, which I was a huge fan of, did a good job of balancing that well as far as capturing the tone. I don't know if you guys ever saw those, but Nuka Break was really great with that.
I can't recall. I don't think I did.
Yeah, it's a really well done YouTube series that they did. That they did 2 seasons of, and it was a fan project, but it was done really, really well.
I'm trying to think about how Westworld in humor. I think in those first seasons, it was by being absurd. So there was humor when the whole point is they go to this park, there's animatronic boys, and they're very realistic and lifelike. And so sometimes they malfunction. So one get shot up in the chest, and he's just walking around shot up and still bleeding, but he doesn't know it. And kind of it's funny, but not in a haha guffaw. Welcome to The Hangover or Talladega Nights. There's comedic elements in that.
Right. It's situationally yeah.
So I think
there's it's a dark humor.
Yeah. And I think if they're gonna do that, then it's not gonna be particularly in a dog, though I can imagine that they might have some character that's super 1950s corporate-y, because that's always it seems like that's really fun to do, is have kind of a top presence. But I haven't seen anything like knowing Jonathan Nolan and what, because he's Christopher Nolan's brother, knowing them, like it could be anything. I mean, it could be anything from any of the Nolan films, any of these productions that have, like, it's hard to tell really at this point because they haven't even started to shoot it yet.
Yeah, I did see that Todd Howard's going to be making it with them, which is kind of cool that he's going to be shaping that.
Yeah, it's good to have somebody who will keep it at least, reined in, keep the focus and the brand on point.
I'm also glad it's going to be like a series as opposed to a movie. There was that movie that never quite got off the ground, but video game movies have a problematic history. I'm glad that doing it these kind of series, they can really pace it out and tell a better story.
Right. And there's so much content. You could do seasons. You can do seasons. You could have a season 1 that's, in the Capital Wasteland and then break off and do another season in another location. Now here's another question, guys. Do you think it would be better to retell stories that we already know and recast them in the form of a TV series, or do we want them to fill in the gaps of the stories and the timelines that we already are aware of?
I don't know, because there's so much that we kind of happen in like the Eastern metropolitan area. We kind of happen in the Western metropolitan area. Like,
I think it would be interesting, like if they tie in some of the Easter eggs for fans. So if some of the events that took place in the game happen to be incidentally happening throughout the course of the series, and we're seeing it through a completely different character, but like the lone wanderer is still out there kind of doing his thing. Meanwhile, all of this other stuff is going on. So we're seeing the same place and time, just from someone else's different perspective. Could be really interesting.
Right.
Also,
on my Facebook page. Sorry to jump in. Just real quick on that same kind of concept. I posted this on my Facebook page, and one of my friends said that he would have a hard time jumping into it because Fallout for him has always been so personal. It's been his own story. So if that's the case, then it would be good to tell somebody else's story that's tangentially related to the things you're familiar with, but not take that from you, not turn your story into somebody else's story.
And I think they want to have, like, they want to play, like these creators want to play, and they want to, like, the writers want to make their own action. I think you're going to have, like, as I say, with any Fallout property, you can't not have Brotherhood of Steel. The Brotherhood of Steel is guaranteed to show up sometime in this show. Like,
and can you imagine the special effects for the suits? Holy crap!
Yeah,
that's gonna look awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really gonna is like seeing a lot of these mechanics work in a realistic way. I think is gonna change the videos in some aspects, like seeing ways that like laser weapon work, because like you have there's like this fight element to it that you gotta have, and like how these robots like around and what exactly is going on in a Protectron's head, that kind of where you get that.
we have a specific episode that's just from the perspective of a Protectron. It's like narrated from
like any ghoul or anything like that. You're thinking about like how mechanically do these creatures and things work, super mutants, like
And the graphics and the design around it, like, are you going to have a main ghoul character who shows up regularly and looks like somebody whose flesh is coming off? Because you could totally do that. They have the technology to make it look like half their face is missing, Is it going to be as grotesque as that, or is it going to be a little more cleaned up and look like they just have really grimy, dirty skin? Like
Johnny Depp as Hancock.
Right. The other thing I was thinking is it's not uncommon to have companions that are non-human. So especially something like a robot, they could take a page out of Star Wars. Oh my God, everyone's going to kill me because I said the wrong one. Star Wars, and have the robot friend, the Mr. Handy or whoever, be the charming robot sidekick who everybody loves and thinks is awesome because they're kind of the comedic relief.
Yeah,
that could work too.
Well, you mentioned Star Wars, and I was thinking about this today, and I'm thinking like Fallout as a property and what they're doing and what their vision is for that. Like, it seems like that they really just like testing the grid of like, okay, how do we take this video game IP and make it into a media icon? Like, it seems like even Todd Howard's role at Bethesda shifting from more of this like George Lucas like auteur situation where he's like got his finger in all of these situations. So you have your mainline Fallout games, you have Fallout 76, which is a multiplayer like live server game. You have Nuke Winter, which is Battle Royale. You have Fallout Shelter. You have I have predictions of what exactly this means for the continuation of the games. But his role, it seems like, is he is trying to he's done the game development stuff. He's like one of those revered game directs that we have coming out of the millennium. Now, how does he evolve? I think that's through other projects like mobile games, now TV shows. It's like what kind of branding is going to be there? How's it going to be more accessible for the people? Like, what kind of property is this going to become as it approaches the mainstream? Like, it's wild to think about. And if from my understanding, like, you can only get that way with how agile in a lot of ways Bethesda be with how they do projects and how they take risks. And I think that this is a really big risk for them because historically video game adaptations in TV and film have not done well.
No.
I think your rare good ones are probably, and I say this as like good as impossible, are probably the Tomb Raider films with I forgot the actress, she's very famous, or now starting to get even like the Castlevania Netflix adaptation, which is an animated it's like kind of an anime show, but that's been well received. Like you rarely get that kind of stuff.
The Witcher 2, talking about how the success of a series brings renewed interest to a game, that brought a lot of renewed interest to the Witcher games. So it's going to be interesting to see how the success of this series either reawakens interest for people who remember playing Fallout 3 in New Vegas and, you know, maybe never played 476, or people who are new to the games completely see the series and want to like play in that world. It's going to really change, I think, the fandom quite a bit and bring in a lot of new people.
Yeah.
I think one of the things it signals is my two big predictions aren't even related to this, but just because of the fact that they're releasing this TV show and then it's going to be like thing, it is going to be a center of like the mainstream media and the pop culture, is you're going to have some sort of mainline Fallout experience on the Nintendo Switch. To me, it seems like that this nearly confirms that they are going to take Fallout 3 to a remaster of it. I'd see.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of rumors
I don't see why not.
About that this year as one of the things as part of QuakeCon. There's a lot of really persistent rumors about that. I don't know if that was the rumor last year. I don't know if it'll happen, but I would feel bad for the Fallout 4 Capital Wasteland people who have been working on that project for years. But
I mean, there's the Kanawha Valley mod project that's for Fallout, trying to remake all of Fallout 76 in Fallout 4. So I mean, it's all, you know, people's preference or what have you. But I can't see a world in which they don't release a game that is kind of a baseline. I think Fallout 76 is very niche to Fallout fans. I think it is a game for Fallout fans. I don't think it's a game for everyone in a lot of aspects, but they have to have something to say, okay, that makes sense. I mean, cross-pollination. We're building a show, but we also have this game that you can play, that you can get that Fallout experience. So you're almost like double dipping in that world, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because they did that for Witcher 3. They put that on the Switch, and it was like, how the hell do you put Witcher 3 in the Switch? And it turns out it's a little downgrades visually, but
Malcolm McDowell returns as President John Henry Eden.
Do you think we'll see the Enclave though?
I hope
for
so.
sure.
Yeah, I
For
really
sure.
Who do you
do.
think? Who do you think's like guaranteed? Like, what do you think are some like guaranteed? Like, put your money. Like, maybe we should start like a betting pool, like some money down on this stuff. You know,
I think
What do you
the
think is
Enclave
guaranteed for the
Brotherhood
show?
definitely. I think
yes.
I think we're going to see either Robert House, and it's a shame we lost Renee,
You think?
or I would like to see either him or
Or would it be an Easter egg or something? Like that?
or Von
would it be like a
or Von Braun? I think would be interesting too as head of
I
Vault
think
Tech.
those are going to be those are going to be some of the I believe that those will be some of the characters behind the scenes that get referenced a lot. That
Yeah.
don't play a lead role, but that
Oh,
they
yeah.
show up
Yeah.
or they get referenced, and then eventually we actually see them somewhere, or in House's, we see a screen with his face on it or whatever. I think well, here's the other side. The flip side of that is what characters are we going to see? But then the flip side is like, are we going to see any of the people we know cameo in it somewhere? Are we going to see like Uncle Pete show up as a raider? Or, like
I would be surprised if they didn't have Wes. I think that would be it. Like, could you imagine Wes in makeup as a super mutant? That would be incredible.
Yes,
I would
be
love to see
amazing.
that. Yeah, he has been resharing a lot today. So maybe I'm looking too hard.
I don't know. Like some of the voice
That would
actors,
be awesome.
especially for some of the roles that might be a little bit more digitally created, would be perfect for the roles, because you can motion capture them as a super mutant, insert them into the world digitally, and have them do the voice, and you don't even need makeup. So that could totally work. Faction wise, I think that you're going to get references to most of the major factions, depending on the timeline. I mean, if they're 200 years past the bombs dropping, then we're going to see synths show up somewhere. It's going to happen. I mean, these are the creators of Westworld. Those are basically synths.
Yeah.
You're going to have
and I'm not
raiders.
But I'm curious if they're gonna retread that ground, though. That's another thing.
Fallout 4 was so ridiculously successful as far in comparison to the other games. Do you think they'll borrow more from the success of that one than maybe the previous ones that we liked?
Possibly. I think it makes the most sense.
I know that Jonathan Nolan has actually played some of the games. I know that he's played 3. He's mentioned in interviews that he played a lot of Fallout 3.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to use the storylines that seem to resonate the most with the fans, because then the games become the testing ground for what storylines will function in a TV show, and then you at least use those as a jumping off point.
Terry Crews as Preston Garvey.
Preston Garvey. Oh, he's like a buff Preston Garvey. Man.
Let me mark this on your map.
Yeah, very excitable Preston Garvey. We have another settlement.
Like, if you could pick like 2 actors or actresses, either to place into series, who would you pick?
That's a good question. It's almost easier to come up with a role, like a character, and then say who would you have play the character.
Right.
Oh, geez, that's a hard question.
Sean Connery as Colonel Augustus Autumn.
I don't know. I think we should. You know what we should do is we should ask the listeners and have them write in who they would have and what role they would play.
Yeah,
and
chat.
Kind of go over that in the future.
Chat. What do you guys think?
Yeah, what does chat think? I'm starting to think maybe Ted Danson would be good, because he has that like serious stuff, but also has that goofy side that kind of goes with. He seems like he could be an overseer, is what I'm saying. Like he kind of has that weird mystique. He could be some sort of like a strange overseer or something like that.
Okay. All right. Well, let's give chat a little while. Maybe we'll loop back around to see if they get any ideas
We'll
from them.
maybe loop back around to that.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more thoughts on the show itself?
What about location? Where do you think they will set it? Do you think it'll be Capital Wasteland or Boston or somewhere else completely different?
Well, from what we know about Fallout games, it's either going to be West Coast, deserty focused, maybe earlier in the timeline, or it's going to be later in the timeline, East Coast, New England, somewhere up, maybe even New York. New York might be
Ooh, that would be
a
interesting.
destination to do that is important nationally because it's like our largest city and it's very definitively American.
Yeah.
And it's in between the two other locations that we have had in games on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have influences and characters from either of those things showing up in a New York location, or at least references to things that happened in those places because people might know about what's going on north or south of them. Those are my thoughts. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the same.
Yeah, I think that it's really about like what city do they want to film in, because they're gonna be like, they're not just gonna shoot this all CG, or whatever.
They might. So
CG is so large.
Well, here's an idea. Have you seen the stuff about the Mandalorian and how the Mandalorian used LED screens? Did you
Yeah.
see this?
Mm-hmm.
It is
Yeah.
amazing.
It's
not
crazy
just
what they
like
did.
Green screen technology. They had an entire room, and this is probably the way they're going to go with a lot of these kinds of films that are set in locations that are hard to film in actual locations. You could have a destroyed New York and put most of the scenes in, and look this up if you guys haven't seen it. Look up the way the Mandalorian was filmed. You can see it all over YouTube. But it's like think of it like a large room that they would normally use as a set on a TV show or something. And the back half of the room is all like a U-shaped LED screen that continues all the way around the set. And then above them is also LEDs. So they're actually using technology from the Unreal Engine to put the people who are in the middle of the room filming the scene in a three-dimensional space that changes as the camera pans around the scene. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. And because it's all actual light and LEDs and not green screen, it casts actual light on the characters in front of it. So reflections look real. You don't have any of that green screen bleed around the edges of things that make things look a little bit fake. It's amazing.
Right.
They could use that. If they were to use that kind of technology, they could put it wherever they want. It really wouldn't have to
And
shoot
that was
on location
interesting.
ever.
That was interesting because all of the graphics and stuff were all done through a game engine rather than run-of-the-mill like film stuff. And so you could see them like Jon Favreau would put on a VR headset and just be like, I want the camera to be here at this level, and move it to where he wanted to. And because it was an engine, the room would shift with them, because that's where he had it. That's where, quote, like the scene is their character, which is like kind of wild. It's wild how this stuff, it's wild how games and films and TV are kind of like right
Merging.
now, like really coming to this, like this head of what
Lettuce.
is
Head
what
of
is
lettuce.
like mainstream media. Head of lettuce, yes.
What I'm excited about is if this is successful as like The Witcher has been, and this continues as a trend, it would be great to see some other amazing franchises as far as games go become a series like this. Elder Scrolls, yeah, absolutely.
Holy God, they need to just. I mean, they could just
Elder
make
Scrolls would be
get
amazing.
the team that does the cutscenes, the trailers, and just make a show based off of that stuff. Holy God, holy Jesus,
Yeah,
Lord in heaven.
I think that this is the test for them of
Sweet baby
seeing,
Jesus.
it's like, okay, how to go through this process of making this show. And I think once it's live and goes and looking at the reception, then I think they start looking at, because Elder Scrolls is like their like bread and butter. Like that was the center point for Bethesda when it started. And I think from there, that's where they look at it and say, okay, maybe we can go this direction and have this different stuff, and make into kind of this next Game of Thrones experience, whether it's a movie, show, what have you.
I'm Todd Howard. These are the voyages of Starfield.
It's just wild to me that
he's the
Todd Howard's the captain.
like this dude is gonna buy it. He's gonna buy a ranch in Maryland. He's gonna buy a ranch in Maryland, and he's just gonna move everyone there. And he's gonna be like, he's gonna become George Lucas. Like at this point, like the way he is managing his men, he is going to become probably the first video game developer to reach like this auteur level. That's at least what I think.
maybe. I hope so. I hope everything's good enough. I mean, Todd, do a good job. We believe
Yeah,
in you.
I'm assuming that this show is gonna be it's like the second coming of Jesus Christ, but
You heard it here
Super
first,
stuff.
folks. Todd
Here,
is
right.
Jesus. Jesus
Right.
Todd. All
If you
right.
play the
Well,
Fallout
you should-
3 soundtrack backwards, it said, Howard is God. Howard is God. Just like that.
that sounded like a really bad. I'm not going to say which accent that sounded
Twin
like.
Peaks
Anyway.
season 4 right here, ladies and gentlemen.
So hey, why don't we move on to the rest of the news, because we got a lot of other stuff to
Yes,
cover.
we do.
And I'm sure we're going to be
Got-
talking more about this TV stuff as we continue to get more information about it. So Dave is the man on the street. Dave, what else do we have to talk about?
I am a man on the street. And
You are the
today-
streetwalker. You are the
I'm a
The Streetwalker.
wait, the street. It's funny how that changes when you move the words around. Go on.
The other piece of news that I have, and really centering on the fact and what this podcast is the hub of Fallout news, and interest and fandom and community within the world. I am happy to report that in the game, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is a fighting game for the Nintendo Switch, you probably know it. You have probably
Nobody's ever heard
played
of this
it.
game. Yeah, this is a
Nobody's ever heard
tiny
of
little
this game.
game. It's not very popular.
They have added a new skin to the game that is a Vault Boy skin for the Mii Gunfighter. It's
Heck
one of the
yeah.
best looking skins in this game, I will add.
Heck yeah. Is that live now?
It should be, yeah. It'd be live now because their update just went out. They came along with a new fighter. I think it's Min Min. She's from a game called Arms. But they have a few other outfits, but that was kind of the main. They have like a guy, Heihachi from Tekken. And it was another one from there. But
Heihachi.
Vault Boy and Heihachi is the main, is to me the main attraction, and actually looks pretty good. So I'm excited. I have not delved into purchasing that costume, but that's probably something
We have
on the
it.
horizon in my future.
My son loves playing as the Mii fighters also, so I'm gonna have to make him. I'm gonna be like, put the skin on, put the Vault Boy skin on, use that one. And then he'll be like, okay.
I'm a do or die Captain Falcon kind of dude. So I don't know how much playing as the Mii Gunfighter because my boy Captain Falcon. Yeah,
He at least will show up in your games, and then you can
kick.
Yeah, you can Falcon punch him in the face.
Beat the shit out of him. He already gets pretty beaten up in all the videos. Poor little Vault Boy.
Oh.
So that is the end of the news from outside of the Fallout games. The third piece of news that I have today is Fallout 76 coming to Xbox Game Pass on July the 9th, which I think
Nice.
is really exciting. It seems like I don't own an Xbox. I don't play Xbox, but I really like this. Like they're starting to become this Netflix of gaming through their subscription service, where you can not only play on stream, like you can stream these games, you can download them onto your Xbox or your PC, and play them there even offline. Like you don't have to have a particular internet connection to play. So I'm curious of how that's going to be up on there. But geez, I mean, for the amount of content that you're getting already, that addition and how big the game is now, that's a great addition to the service.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to bring a lot of other people into the game. Just even people who are kind of looky-loos who are like, I bet this game sucks. I'll try it out anyway. And then they start playing it and they go, oh, this really isn't that bad.
I guess I should have made up my own mind instead of watching a YouTube video.
The internet thinks for me. But that's kind of the problem that we have all across America, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Use your own brain, everybody.
Yep. The next piece of news that I have is a new trailer for Fallout 76, including a lot of their summer updates, is live and gives us some interesting things that we haven't known or seen before within 76, including stuff at the Atlas Observatory as well as stuff with the Brotherhood of Steel. So I'm curious what you all thought of that trailer.
Yeah, it looks really, really good. The Wendigo event from PTS I never got a chance to do, but it looked super fun. So I'm looking forward to getting a chance to play that. But yeah, you can't get into Atlas now. It's under construction.
Under construction.
You
I can't wait for more
into
Brotherhood
Atlas
stuff.
building?
Yeah, it's closed now. With
Interesting.
the most recent update, it's shut down. There's now a landing pad, some construction going on, and there's also a note that's left behind that you can read.
I love this. I love the little updates in the game that make it feel like it's changing and evolving. So good.
Yeah,
You need to
it's
keep
one of
doing
the.
that.
That's what I think is more and more the unique thing for 76 is this world. It's a like, for all intents and purposes, it is an RPG that constantly evolves.
Yes.
You don't have that with other RPGs. Like you
Right,
don't have this
right.
like over time. It's evolving.
Especially-
It's doing these things. Things are happening.
Yeah, especially MMOs. MMOs, they design an area and then they go on and they expand it into another area. But that first area never really changes. It's just kind of the same. This is
Right.
constantly changing. It's such a cool experiment. I think I don't know. I think it's paying off. I think it's cool.
Right. There's a history and there's a lore, and if you weren't there to experience it, and it's probably by year or every big seasonal update. Like if you weren't there to experience it, it's like you may not get to experience the whole shebang as it stands.
Yeah, the whole shebang. Everybody wants the whole shebang.
On the back of the box, Dave Chafin says, "You may not get to experience the whole shebang." It's not exactly a glowing review.
It's not usually glowing reviews are positive, not negative. But
That's true.
Classic.
All right.
So I'm really excited for the Atlas Observatory thing. It looks like that they showed a time lapse of stuff that's going on. And one thing that I've wanted from literally day one, outside of them showing off gameplay, is to be able to collectively work to rebuild places, because that was their whole campaign, is like rebuild America. That was like their first year, their like entry level campaign. And now we get to, it seems like, do that in a community way. And I'm very interested for like how that's going to be. If it's like, please get 1 million steel and deliver it to Atlas Observatory. And we're all like going through the steelworks and all this different stuff collectively as a community. I think that's really cool. And then it gives us kind of ownership of that story in some ways. Like we have ownership over this landscape now, if that's how it works.
Yeah, it would be kind of, I mean, in a way, it would have been amazing if we would have had the opportunity to build our own settlement if we wanted to together. But something that's been upvoted significantly on Reddit this week is, if you remember back when we were talking about how great it would be to have factions and consequences. So if you choose the raiders, you have these benefits or consequences. If you happen to run into the settlers, well, this person designed this almost Bethesda-looking beautiful map of regions and explained how, if you aligned with certain factions, what the pros and cons from a perk standpoint would be. And it turns it into they were pitching it to Bethesda as an idea to make proper use of factions.
Yeah, I read that. I think that's really interesting. My biggest concern is like thinking about, okay, when you start actually branching a narrative like that, then you have to continue on with that. Like as a writer, you have to continue on with that branch.
Right.
So I'm curious if like there's like a middle ground, but that idea and some other things, like adding in more stuff, like more, like, because you can just go to the settlers camp and help them. And really being mean to a faction in 76 as it stands, like you won't receive anything. You don't get any benefit from being mean to settlers or being mean to raiders.
Yeah.
Other than killing them and getting their sugar bombs or whatever. Like it's the leprechaun and you stole his Lucky Charms.
I'm the leprechaun.
Your voices are on points. They're so good today.
It's almost like you do this like weird like audio drama or something on the
It's the
side.
dr-
It's strange.
I'm the leprechaun. This is my Irish accent.
Oh.
Oh man. Where were
It
we?
seemed like
What were we talking
also-
about?
Also in that trailer, there was some Brotherhood of Steel situations. You saw the logo on the back of some robots, and you saw some people roll up to the Atlas Observatory in some pretty Brotherhood of Steel looking power armor. So
Would you say that they looked boss? BOS, boss.
I'm done. You can just I fire myself.
Fire.
This is
fire myself.
You just get up and take your headphones off and just walk out the door.
I'm firing myself.
Oh.
I'm putting in a 2 weeks notice on
Sorry.
myself.
Sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, I want more Brotherhood stuff. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm very excited. How they're gonna evolve this.
Fred in chat says sad Victorium.
That's good.
Oh, that's so
classic.
good. Sad Victorium.
Sad Victorian reference.
So that was the trailer. Let's move on to even more news. It's like it's this magical day where news is just like falling out of the air.
There is so much news.
We have it. There's so much wonderful news.
It's a
Patch
news
20.
smorgasbord.
It's a charcuterie board of news. Here is your cranberry Weifenstein cheese, and don't look up what Weifenstein is because I totally made that up. One of the things
We're just inventing lots of words today. That's how this show is right now. Sorry, go on.
Podcast. We're content creators, fellas. We're content creators.
You are seeing
Including the very
cheese
words.
being made right now.
This is the process for making cheese. First, you have to name it something that's never existed before.
Right. Anyways, down to the patch 20 here. First thing, some minor things, and then we'll kind of get into the bigger things. Quest giving NPCs have become stationary in this patch, which I think is great. So that way we won't see the ward hit his head on a bunk bed anymore. I imagine that dude's head is pretty much like catatonic. Like I'm surprised he can even move his mouth, let alone walk.
I was like,
First time you bump your head, it's pretty sore, right? The first time you bump it, you're like, ow. And then the second time, you've already got the kind of like mound built in there, and then you hit it again, and it hurts twice as much because it's like it was already in pain. Can't imagine like the 10,000th time.
That's kind of like when you bite your mouth, and then so you bite your mouth like while you're eating something. You're like, ow, like I bit my lip, and then you do it again, and then you're mad at yourself for doing it, and then it's just like for him, it's just
swollen.
a continual cycle.
Yeah, it's swollen, so it's more in the way, and then you just keep. Yeah, that's the worst. Who designed us?
Bethesda. Team PvP has been updated so that the whole team will not participate in one team member's PvP. I would like to officially declare that the war on Bethesda has been lost, my friends. It has been lost.
well, a few things. Punji boards. Two things related to PvP and or griefing. So the team-based PvP thing is over, so there's no more of that. That does work. Punji boards and in a trap camp, one method to stack them no longer works. Another method still does. So be mindful of that. Anybody who had trap camps before, they're legacy, so they still have trap camps. So just be safe out there. Be smart. Check your junk.
Don't walk into a.
You gotta check
at night.
your junk. Check
your junk.
Check your junk.
Pat yourself down. Make sure the junk is.
Make sure your junk
in or not in place
is in the trunk before you go into a house.
Put your junk in the trunk.
Before you go shopping.
Packing, yes.
I got nothing.
Here's a joke. Okay, so what do you do when you go to a party at a trap camp? You play trap music. It's for my hip hop heads out there. The multitude of fans.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know,
you better
chat
not.
music.
You better not
How much?
trip
Okay,
hop
let's
when
look
you
at
walk
this
in through
group.
that door.
God damn it!
We've been demonetized for just bad content.
This is bad.
Oh no. Yeah.
In the
I don't know. If you fall for a trap camp, then you're definitely going to get the blues. And then there's no more talking at all. The show's just done.
Point number 3: public teams are now live. That's one of the big features they included in this, and let me tell you that I love them.
Yeah, they're great.
It has probably changed how I interact with the game because I don't really have a group that I like consistently get on with. I know that Ken, you may have a group or something that you consistently get on with. That may be something that you do. But for short like spurts, when I want to get on and run something and do something, I can just like immediately start a team, and pretty much within maybe a minute, like maybe 60 seconds, I have a full team, and we're all engaging in something. Most of the time, it's events. I learned that hunting, what that means and how it's being perceived by the community right now is not only legendary runs, but a lot of people that are trying to get the Wendigo Colossus to spawn. So I got a part of a hunting team just to see what it was, and they were all in the nuclear silo. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I was, doing the silo run with them, and then the leader of the team chose a spot to put a nuke down, and he got a Wendigo spawn. I was like, holy crap!
Yeah, I'm
So
glad
I never faced one of those before.
I'm glad they fixed that. Now we have a solid 10% chance of getting the Colossus. Before it was kind of a crapshoot. It was hard to get him.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of like that effort of going through and having a designated team, or kind of like a community decided way of being like, okay, like this is the group that I want together to go do Wendigo Colossus. And then they did that, and then they did a Scorch Queen after that.
So are you no longer a loner? Are you no longer?
Let me tell you something. Now, 50% of the time that I'm playing, I am grouping up in a team because it just makes more sense. I may not be on mic, but I now don't run around constantly with my lone wolf perk, which takes up 4 charisma points. So I'm very pleased in that update. It makes it way simpler for people who just don't have like a specified amount of time to really jump in and get a group and figure out what you're doing. It's already set there for you. I love it.
Yeah, it's also nice. I know the feedback on it has been great. There was a few people who still have kind of a hard line about playing this solo. A few of them had commented in groups, but everyone proved a solid point. You can join a team, don't even talk to any of the teammates, and just go do your thing. Especially if you're doing the events one, the bonus XP you get from that counts towards score. So if you don't want to talk to people, don't talk to people. Go do an event and then go do your own thing. It's really just a benefit for you.
Yeah. And the interface looks nice too.
Yeah.
When you open it up and you
They
see
did
like
a
the
good
little
job with that.
selections, the little boxes. Yeah.
Yep.
And like, just if you're afraid to like create a team, just make a team. Like, people are going to join. At first I was like, I don't want to make a team because I don't want to be like expected to be like, I had some
I don't want to be an
that I was gonna
entertainer.
like,
Too much pressure.
I don't want to yeah. But I just did it. People just joined, and everybody was really chill and nice, and it made sense. It was all utilitarian in that aspect. It was a business transaction. It had the makings of a business transaction, a meeting well spent, as they would say, a teleconference well done. The next bullet point.
Rivet Rose even notes in here that you can join multiple teams of different types for multiple bonuses. You guys tried that?
That sounds like the makings of a popularity contest.
No, I didn't know you could. I'll have to try that.
I haven't tried that either.
I haven't tried that. No.
We'll have to check that out. Thanks, Rivet.
Next bullet point is the legendary run is now live. What do you all think about and experiencing this legendary run, as they call it? Which is the seasons, the
Ken?
official name.
Well,
Your thoughts?
I have my thoughts, and then I have the ear of the community. So,
Okay.
Tell us what the community is thinking, and tell us what you're thinking.
all right, there's a lot of confusion about the mathematics. A lot of people are already complaining about the grind related to this. I think it would be highly unlikely for me to get to level 100, mostly because I don't have the kind of time like a lot of people do to play on a daily basis, which is really what you need to do in order to make it there. And even if you did get it to the end, I think you're like 5,000 away from completing it, which doesn't really matter because you're getting the recurring XP bonus that counts towards score. So the community feedback on it has been muddled. I think people are excited about the rewards. I'm noticing a lot of people talking about the grind that it takes to get there. That being said, for me, it's mostly cosmetic stuff anyway. So I'm not, even if I don't get to 100, I don't feel like I want to pay to get there, if that makes sense. I think when the time comes and I may end up at like, I don't know, level 52 out of 100 when it's all said and done after or the 10 weeks is done. I can't imagine myself paying my way through just to get cosmetic items. Not when I'm already getting a Fallout first and other stuff. I enjoy the variety. It does get me to do other things, events, and go to different places that I normally wouldn't go to. So I think it's great for that. The other challenge that they're working on now, some people are using the God mode exploit to power through to level 100, and within like a span of hours had already got the Captain Cosmos gear, which I hope the banhammer is going to be swinging down on them real quick.
Seems like an easy thing to determine.
Yeah, that's an easy one. But the roadmap is actually fun to play with. Like it makes a really satisfying noise when you're like clicking over stuff. The whole design of that is really, is beautifully done. Yep. Yeah.
I'm curious.
I haven't spent a ton of time in it yet. I like Ken. I don't think I'm going to get too far into the progression, but I don't know. The want to spend in order to get the stuff that you didn't get all just depends on what stuff I haven't gotten yet and how much I want it.
Right.
I think that's what it really comes down to.
I think that this could also, this season really, outside of the ammo converting machine, I haven't, if you're a nuclear winter player, which I have gotten back into just because that's been a part of the daily challenges and have found that I still really like nuclear winter, and
I do too.
Probably my favorite of the battle royale genre. Like, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. Like, I legitimately really like that, and it's very, from gameplay standard for me at least, it's very simple to understand, and kind of the simplicity of it makes it more accessible, for my opinion. Anyways, the on the rankings, I think I'm like maybe rank 6 or 7, which isn't that far. But it seems like the daily rewards, and the weekly rewards, like there needs to be some sort of way to kind of buff those weekly rewards. And in general, for your gold doubloons or whatever they're called, bars, doubloons. Doubloons are what pirates use. Yeah. So with those are daily, and I think that maybe this game should take a more of a tweak for having something weekly, and having that like total number per day be a weekly number. And then you're going to have people that are able to, it's not everybody's going to have time in their evenings in a work day, but maybe in the like Saturday morning, like why everybody, like you may be somebody that wakes up at 7 a.m. on Saturday for no reason, like I am. And you have like 3 or 4 hours to just like play a game uninterrupted. Then you feel like you're doing more within that time, as opposed to just like an hour here on this day, an hour here on this day. I think that maybe that's something to change. I'm glad that the rewards, though, are not 100% enticing in some ways, because I think they're really trying to test out and see what works, what doesn't work about the season system.
I mean, one of the things that made it hard for the implementation of this is because it's tied to the Atomic Shop. There was no ability to test it in the PTS beforehand, which is why when the ammo converter came out, it universally has been perceived poorly. The UI design for that is really clunky. It just isn't working out well. So Jeff Gardner actually tweeted out today that they heard community feedback and they're going to work to fix the ammo converter, which is good. So at least they're listening.
We can get to kind of the ammo converting will come up in a later topic today as well.
So much to talk about.
So much to talk about.
Let's give them some.
As far as news, one piece I forgot is that there's a new Brotherhood radio signal, and Bethesda has said that they can maybe hear something on there. So that may be. It seems like that there's a little baby makings of an ARG kind of going on right now, where people are trying to figure out it's not necessarily related to the Guidestones, but more as to like what's going on with the Brotherhood. Like I think they saw that people were interested in this like overarching like weird little mystery, and I think that they added in that Brotherhood thing to kind of give it a little bit of stuff. I don't want to go too in depth on that, and just like with when we started doing stuff with the Grafton Pawn Shop, like I don't want to go too in depth on that either, because that is some of the more rewarding experiences in the game where you're starting to think outside of the box, and you could probably have it done for you or just read about it, but it's also fun to just go in and do it yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Go do it.
That's it for the news. First off, let me say, what a news day. I would rank this probably number one as far as the amount of news with the in comparison to the amount of expected news. Because originally we were just talking patch 20, but all this stuff just like happened today.
Yeah, TV show.
Yeah, they're trending on Twitter. They were really within 20 minutes, which I thought was kind of crazy.
Well, have they listened to the Fallout TV series podcast? Because they should listen to the
official, unofficial Fallout TV show podcast. That's us.
It's a thing.
We're right here.
We're here. We're happening. All right. Fallout all the time.
Well, speaking, we've got more Fallout stuff to cover with Fallout 101. What will we talk about today, guys?
Today I just put together a little tiny segment. It's not going to be as big as the news because there's nothing that's going to be as big as the news. About navigating the daily and weekly challenges. So I've done the past 3 days of the dailies. I've done my weekly challenges, and I just have some general tips. I wonder if you guys had some general tips of how to best spend your time if you're trying to get that stuff done, and maybe do other stuff as well. So I have a few things here. First off is the scrapping armor and clothing. Sometimes that's been a thing about scrap a certain amount of things, or a certain amount of hats, or a certain amount of boots, or a certain amount of
fanny packs,
pocket pencils, right? Whatever you need. One thing, if you have the plan for those things already, you can just make those things and then scrap them. So the other day it was like make 25 pieces of clothing, and I was like, okay, I made 25 hats. Scrapped 25 pieces of clothing, and I made 25 hats, and then I scrapped 25 hats. That's what I mean. That's kind of it's a very easy way to not be like, oh, gotta make sure I pick up clothing while I'm out. Because oftentimes one of the things about playing this game is it's like you're constantly like in a grocery store mindset where you're like, okay, I need to remember I need this aluminum, but I also need copper. I kind of need more screws. So I need to make sure, and I'm gonna mark those things. But sometimes I might like randomly run out of plastic, and I'm like, okay, I gotta remember that it's like while I'm out. And so it's like you're trying to balance. Like you always have a grocery store list in mind. Yes. The whole world is very consumer friendly in that aspect. But
yeah, all of Appalachia is basically a gigantic grocery store.
Yeah,
I mean, there's probably a think piece out there somewhere on that. One of the things, if they're looking for weapons, which could be the thing in the future, a good area to get a lot of weapons if you don't want to make them, because that can get kind of hard in your wood and steel resources, is Harper's Ferry. For the most part, you're gonna find mobs of enemies that spawn with weapons. It's not going to be robots or ghouls all the time, like a lot of high-level areas can be. You're most likely going to get scorched or super mutants within the area. You'll get some ghouls here and there, but most of the time it's going to be scorched and super mutants within those areas. Events, a good tip for that I've come up with for events is use your public team tool anytime you want to do an event. If you're in an event, like if you see an event, want to do it, just be like, okay, I'm going to get in a public event team. Just do
Hop
it.
right in.
Don't think about it.
Just go do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
One thing that people need to do is make sure to share their perk cards. We often forget. Ladies and gentlemen, we often forget on the importance of sharing and caring. Today, I want to talk to you about sharing your perk cards. You may not think that maybe people want a 5% increase in their rifle damage, or you may think that people want to do a little bit more damage for about 5 seconds after you attack the thing. You may not think that people want to be a little more satisfied from the food they eat, but it turns out that they do. And that's why it's very important to look at your charisma stat and learn if you can share a perk card, because sharing, my friends, is caring, and you should do that at all times.
Lowered expectations.
Also, wear your freaking masks and wash your hands. God damn it.
Yep. Also, a good perk to look at. If you've normally been playing Lone Wonder like me, now my level ups that I've been doing, I've been getting the perks for Inspirational, which adds a bonus XP if you're in a team. That overall will help your XP generation, so you can get that your level up, which is most likely, and you're pretty much going to have a level up in your daily challenges. But as well, you can do the repeatable weekly experience challenge and get that XP that way. Do you all have any more tips for our listeners when it comes to navigating these daily challenges or events, or does anyone in the chat have any tips for us?
When in doubt, ask a friend.
Yeah, having friends, I'm sure, is helpful.
That's true. Bearcycle Brian says that's why I share cannibalism. It's a good thing, because on the go, I mean, think about it. That's like fast food. That's like the fast food of the Fallout universe, you know.
The
Sharing
fastest
cannibalism
food.
is caring. I mean, the friends who eat friends together stay together.
Right. You're forcing people into cannibalism, you know. It's vampires by who you're associated with.
PV.
Imagine that.
Eat.
Eat. That's what PvE stands for. Player versus. Wait, but that doesn't make any sense. Player versus eat.
Just go with it, Tom. Just go.
Okay. Okay.
Just go.
Shush. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. It's fine. All right.
Well, that's all I have for our Fallout 101 today.
Sounds good. All right. Well, let's move on to the Abraxo box. We've got a stack here for Dave. Is this yours? I feel like this is yours.
I haven't gotten on here. I'm stepping onto my stack. Maybe I can move my camera a little bit. Oh no, I don't want to uncenter myself.
You're so much taller now because you're standing on a bunch of boxes. It looks totally different.
Get good posture. I'm getting really nice posture right now. I'm engaging my core, which is important to do. Remember to engage your core while you're sitting. That helps with back problems later on. Also, drink a glass of water. I have all kinds of health tips today for people. This is like a health and fitness. I'm going to be the official health and fitness guru of the podcast. As I get onto my very healthy soapboxes, at the top, I have a rant from the bowels of Reddit here, titled "The Ammo Converting Machine." Not 10 minutes ago, I unlocked the long-awaited ammo conversion machine. The UI for it is absolute dog shit. I mean, come on. I can only convert 18 out of 5,000 at a time? Man, that's utter bollocks. I have a feeling this man is from the United Kingdom.
Yeah,
I have a feeling this man is pretending he's from the United Kingdom.
Are you sure that he might be from Poughkeepsie? A lot of salty people in Poughkeepsie.
They all say bollocks up there.
there's a cap on how many tokens you can carry, and it's not even slightly goddamned reasonable one. 2,000? What drugs were they taking when they make them think that it's okay if it'll buy you 205.56 or 300.45? Or even worse, 240 fusion cells? Then there's the fact that you have to do 18, then press 4 separate commands in the terminal to do it again until you hit 2,000. Then you have to buy the ammo you actually use, not applicable to the ultrasight ammo users, for an extortionate amount of tokens. But enough said about the ammo machine. In brand.
So many feelings.
So
much emotion.
All right, let's
I feel this down.
Let's break this down.
Yeah, let's break
I mean, it was not received well by the community, so they heard that and they're making changes. But here's another thought: it's free,
Right.
You
It's
what?
something we didn't have
said
before.
what?
You didn't pay for it.
You didn't pay for it.
It's not banging your girlfriend. It didn't take the keys to your car.
Yeah.
It's a very complex computer, I'll have you know, so you don't know what it could be capable of.
Right. This is something that I find I don't know, it probably resonates with us as podcasters because so much of our content we put out there for free. And then you get like the random like grumpy person who's mad at you for changing something on the show or for putting out an episode about something they disagree with. And it's like, this is free, buddy. You didn't pay for it. If you don't want to listen, don't listen.
It's entitlement in fandom.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm entitled to this.
And I think that like all of this is the UI for it is absolute dog shit. I am the first. I stand that the UI for this is absolute dog shit. But frankly, Jeff Gardner, who's the project lead for Fallout 76, went on to tweet and saying essentially that they're going to make changes to it. They heard us. They heard the wails from deep in the bowels of people going, "This damn computer." It's you know, it's like my mother when she called me and said, "I don't know how to uninstall Facebook."
Bearcycle Brian said the ammo converter banged his girlfriend.
Oh no.
Well,
oh Brian.
Shot through the heart, and you're to blame.
Ammo converter's got a bad name.
Oh
God.
Wow.
Oh man.
That's great.
So remember,
Yeah.
it's free. All of this content is free. You're not paying for it. You're doing your regular thing. This is free.
The other thing that really gets me is that people act as if this is like hard coded into the game. It will never change, and it's like this now, and so therefore it's always going to be like this. And the extremeness of that reaction, it's like, no, there's so many. You could just write them and say, "Hey guys, don't know if you noticed, but UI could be improved. Here's what I would do." Positive feedback, and they get enough of that, and eventually they change it. You don't have to. It doesn't like you don't have to act like they banged your girlfriend.
But it's trendier to send rage tweets at Bethesda employees or moderators who have no say in how the game is developed.
Tell them you're
anyway,
gonna kill their families and
people go way overboard with some of that stuff. It's
so
crazy.
Extreme. It's so extreme. Treat people like human beings. Just because somebody's on the internet doesn't mean they don't have feelings.
Right.
It's amazing. Anyway. I'll get off. I set up my own soapbox here in the corner. I don't know if you noticed, but I'll get off my soapbox and let Dave finish.
Well, I feel this fellow, and I will say that it is bollocks, but I'm not hunting for the firstborn child of Bethesda developers in order to change this situation. It's not what I signed up for. That is for Queen Mab from the seminal film Merlin that doesn't star Kevin Costner, but the other guy from Jurassic Park. So I will now get down.
Man, the references on the show today have been so good.
I've made hip hop references and 90s Merlin.
And they're only appropriate for a show. Yes, which is appropriate for a show of the quality of ours, which is the official Fallout TV show podcast.
Yes,
the Fallout Hub.
Lest we forget.
Let's not forget.
Lest we forget, only the best content for the unofficial Fallout TV show podcast, The Fallout Hub. So I think that kind of wraps it up, guys. I think that's pretty much. I mean, it was a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff. We'll be coming back with some more interviews on a future episode. But let's go ahead and wrap this up. How can the people out there in our Fallout TV show podcast community get a hold of you, Dave?
You can get a hold of me by directly contacting Jonathan Nolan and telling him to get a hold of us, because we would love to have him on the show and learn all of his dirty little secrets he's been making with Todd Howard. Outside of that, you can also follow me. You can also follow me on Twitter at Dave Chafinz. That's DAVECHAFINZ. You can also find me on Instagram at CHAFINZ. And I do some other podcasts and have a pretty big project that's in the works that I will be letting you all in on soon.
Awesome. And if you would like to officially get a hold of Ken for the official Fallout TV show podcast, The Fallout Hub, how would you do that, Ken?
Well, you can follow us right here. You can also find me at Chad Fallout 76 Podcast on all major platforms.
Very cool. And if you officially want to get a hold of me, Tom, aka Robots, I am available all over the internet. And if you want to go check out the Robots Radio Network stuff, that this is a podcast officially of, but not unofficially of, then go to robotsradio.net and you can check out my stuff all over the place. Just look for at Robots Radio on Twitter, and I do the Fallout Lorecast. You can search that as well. It's a podcast, and there's YouTube videos. There's all sorts of things. Just go look at Robots Radio. You'll find stuff.
If we're going to be official, can we just call it a casual situation?
Oh, no.
That's a callback. That's a good one.
That's a callback.
That's a good callback. The unofficial, official, casual situation. Fallout.
I mean, I could
show
redo the vault with some velvet curtains, a disco ball, some low
Maybe
lighting.
We should just change the name of the show to A Casual Situation. The official TV show. Wait, we have like it needs to be like a really long title, like the unofficial Fallout TV show podcast, The Casual Situation Fallout Hub, featuring, and then all of our names, and that's the like big long title. Sounds good to me.
It's all like a Woody Allen film.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Wastelanders, Spell Dwellers. Thanks for joining us again on the Fallout Hub. I'm not going to say the big long title again. And we look forward to hanging out with you guys next time. I hope you guys enjoyed the Twitch stream. And if you aren't already following Chad Fallout 76 podcast on Twitch, then you might want to do that and turn on notifications so that you can see when we go live again.
Yes, indeed.
And make sure to go to your public broadcasting network, because we're live broadcasting on whatever PBS station you're on as well. Just kidding. But
that is not true. That is also not true. And until next time, we'll keep telling those bad jokes, and see you later.